Welcome to the Cyclical CEO podcast, where we redefine what it means to scale a business without sacrificing your soul. I'm Camille Lalande, your guide to stepping into your CEO throne with systems, strategy, and sovereignty. If you're an ambitious woman who's built a successful business, 6 to 7 figure, but feels trapped in the grind, this podcast is for you. Here we talk about scaling in flow, building a business that fuels your heart, and reclaiming the queen energy you were meant to embody. Let's break free from burnout and fall back in love with your business. Ready? Let's dive in. You've built a successful business, you're making money, but suddenly it feels like you've hit a plateau. You're working harder than ever. Yet your growth has stalled. Sounds familiar? This is episode 3 of the Systems Queen Cyclical CEO podcast. If you're stuck doing everything yourself, like you did in year 1, this episode is for you. If you hesitate to fully delegate, you're still caught up in small, low impact tasks that take up your whole day, your whole time, and you feel like you haven't done anything when the day ends. If you feel like you're maxed out, yes, yet the business needs more of you. Your time is maxed out, but there's still so much that needs to be done. In today's episode, I'll walk you through the exact skill upgrades you need to break through this ceiling and step into your CEO role. So, I want to take a moment to share my personal story and do a little reality check that I had to face to help you with today's topic. So, there comes a moment in every business where you have to realize that your business has new needs, but that you're still operating like a solopreneur. There's always that wake up call that if you keep running that way, you'll never scale and you'll just burn out, where you have to shift from the grind mode to CEO mode. So that happened to me. I want to say fairly recently, but it's been a while that I've changed things around in my business. So, when I started my virtual assistance agency, I was doing it all on my own. I was onboarding the clients, prospecting, putting out ads, posting on social media. I was learning everything that I had to do for them, creating processes for their businesses and the tasks I was performing for these clients. I was executing all of that on a daily basis, managing my schedule to make sure everything was going to get done on time, playing project manager, invoicing, billing, tracking time, and trying to grow through all of that and put myself out there on YouTube, on social media, in in-person events, etc. At one point, I realized that I couldn't do all of that myself, and I got my first assistant. And she did a great job, and she was my guinea pig to like build the processes in order to delegate to more people in my team, and that was such a game changer. But the biggest change I want to share with you, my story where everything really started shifting to the next level, was when I hired my first ever project manager. Because onboarding the virtual assistants to take over the tasks I was doing on a daily basis for the clients was the easy part. But what really, really, really changed everything and alleviated me from being involved on a day to day basis was project management, because I still do tasks for some of my clients because there are things that are really my zone of genius, my zone of expertise, like everything that has to do with strategy, business optimization, processes, creating systems. This is me. This is my zone of genius. I'm the business architect. So I still am very hands on for these things and I love it and I never want it to change. But the project manager's aspect of it was getting too much for me to handle and to manage on top of everything else. And I feel like I was the bottleneck oftentimes, and I was the one ruining the flow of work and the projects for my clients. And so I realized that I had to hire a project manager in order to get to the next stage of my business. And those were the new needs for me. And right away, when I did that, when I trained her, when she caught up to speed and was able to really become helpful in the business, I saw how much time I freed up in my schedule and the spaciousness being created. And for me to start focusing on the things that mattered and to be able to even create this podcast here, because I would have never had the time to manage a weekly episode on a podcast if it wasn't for that change. And so your business isn't asking you to work harder, truly. It's asking you to lead differently and to evolve with it as time goes, and to be adaptable and mutable and malleable and step into your leadership position rather than the technician in your business. And you'll hear me repeat that all the time on this podcast. There These are the key shifts you need to make to break past your current level. So the first shift is to learn to let go and trust others. CEOs, queens don't do everything. They build a team that does. And I want to share tips around that. So, the skill of delegation is your biggest growth unlock. You got to ask yourself, what's the number one thing I need to stop doing? And I want to share some tips and tricks around delegation from my mistakes, from going with it and learning as I went, and from what I've observed with the clients that I've helped also to delegate in their business as they were going through the next stage and the new needs of their business. So what I've observed over time is that usually a business will start by hiring freelancers because that is what is affordable and what makes sense with the current needs of the business when you're not yet at a place where you can afford to get a full-time employee that you have to keep busy for 40 hours per week. And I want to prepare you for the challenges that this is going to bring for you. So, hiring freelancers comes with the challenge that these resources are their own bosses, and therefore, there's a dynamic of power and authority that you will not have when you have your own employees on payroll who rely fully on you for their income. So, I want to prepare you for the fact that you're going to have to create this very mutual, respectful, relationship based on gratitude and express how grateful you are for these people to allow you to free up your time thanks to them. Thanks to them being a freelancer and accommodating you with less hours than what you would be unable to pay if you had a full-time resource. So you're going to have to find your groove and your flow with these people and understand that they have other clients than you because they need to put food on the table as well, and that they cannot be there all the time, but that they're doing you the favor and giving you the service of helping you for the time that you can afford and that you need in order to liberate yourself in your business. Once you pass the stage of hiring freelancers and part-time people, what I recommend and what I've observed works best oftentimes is that avoid getting senior employees, avoid getting people that are super experienced and the best at what they do. Try to hire instead someone who is starting in that industry, because what I've observed is that we say in French there is an expression, and I'll try to translate it in English the best that I can, but that the green wood is the wood that is malleable and that you can mold into the shape that you want it to take before it becomes solid. So you want to hire people that are still malleable and that are still flexible, not only for salary that they're willing to accept, but in their belief systems, in the skills that you can train them for, and that they'll become experts for you at a very much more affordable cost than if you were going for senior resources. And these people will usually be very loyal to you because they depend on you for that first opportunity, and they're very grateful that you're giving them the opportunity to work for you and to get trained by you and becoming an expert under your wing. And then you're going to be able to get to the next stage where you can afford to get more experienced senior resources. But this is the stages in delegation that I really wanted to share with you today. It's a little bit different than the angle that I usually approach in my podcast episodes and content that I share. So it's more of a mindset and HR advice, but I think it really, really is helpful. The second shift, the second key shift you need to make to break past the current level that you're at in your business is to shift from task execution to decision making. So the most successful entrepreneurs don't ask, how do I do this? They ask, who can do this for me? Who can I hire or choose to delegate this to? Your time should be spent on strategy, vision, and leadership. So, example, stop being the one creating graphics, writing emails, or answering every client message. And I'm going to give you a tip to spot when you're falling into your bad habits and old patterns of trying to do it all yourself without questioning yourself about who can do this for me. So, whenever you're in your day of work and you have ideas of like, I should do this, I should do that to grow my business, to go to the next level, blah, 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 and you find yourself diving into this rabbit hole of tasks, and one email leads to another thing to do, and this and that one email becomes a rabbit hole of like subtasks that get created. Stop yourself here and now and ask yourself, who can I delegate this to? Because I know that I will go down that rabbit hole and execute all of these tasks to be able to tackle that one single email that is blocking me from getting to my other emails or my other opportunities and things that I should be focusing on as the CEO in my business. So it is your duty and your homework and your job to catch yourself falling into these patterns. And for my part, and you can do that if that's the case in your business and you have that structure and that hierarchy and the resources for. But I told my project manager, I want you to help me remain accountable to only focus on my CEO tasks. So I told her, whenever you catch me saying things like, I'll do it myself, or let me take care of it, or it'll be faster if I do it on my own, she always tells me, remember, you told me that. And so I come back to my queen energy, to my center, to my CEO avatar, and I take a deep breath and I remind myself that taking the time and making the time to explain properly with all the details necessary, thinking about the quality of work that, I aim for in my business, and I select the person in my team that I believe would be the best to take care of that and help me with that. And I sit down with them and explain in details, make sure that if they have questions, I can answer all of them. I explain my expectations, the timeline and deadline that I want them to respect for that task. And that's it. And yes, it took a bit of my time. And yes, I had to sit down and, take time to do that instead of just right away diving into it and doing it myself. And of course, I'm used to doing it, so I do it fast. But the more I slow down and I take time to do these things and delegate and trust that others can do it just as well or even better than me, the easier and the better it gets. And I'm telling you, the amount of time I was able to buy back for myself is astronomic. The amount of things that I'm able to do now that are at a level of a CEO and the things that are in my zone of genius compared to before, where I would always get to the end of my day feeling like I worked so much, like I did work. I was at my computer, at my desk. I did put in some actual work, did meetings and this and that, but really nothing on my list of CEO work had been done during the day. Nothing. And everything would always get postponed to the next day and on and on and on and on. And that's not what you want as the CEO of your business. And so the next key shift, the last one, the third one you need to do in order to break to the past level of your current level in your business is to develop CEO level problem solving skills. So the problems you're facing now aren't the same as in year one, and that is normal. And instead of reacting to fires, create systems that prevent them. Shift from I need to fix this now to how do I ensure this never happens again? And I want to also tell you that you have to already make peace as a CEO, as a business owner, that problems will never go away. If you're aiming for $1 million, you got to aim for 1 million problems. Okay, it goes hand in hand. The more money you make, the more success you have. It's the exact same proportion of problems and challenges you're going to have and complexity in your business. Everything expands together in the light and in the darkness. So you got to get ready for that. If you're not ready to take the shit and the problems that come with $1 million, $10 million business, you will never get there. So you got to make peace with that, and you got to develop CEO level problem solving skills for your business. So how do you create systems that prevent that? Whenever you get in an argument with a client, with an employee, you face a challenge, a situation in your business that is problematic, you're going to sit down and you're going to try to see the medicine and the teachings and the lessons behind that. You're going to sit down and you're going to ask yourself, what is life trying to teach me through this? Because you got to remember that everything happens for you and not to you. So I like to say that my problematic clients or problematic employees are my senseis. They're my teachers. They're my mentors to show me how I can get better. Where are the flaws and the lacks on my end as a CEO? What was the part of my fortress, of my castle, that wasn't fortified enough, that wasn't protected, that wasn't bulletproof, that I can now bulletproof? So this is the mindset you have to develop as a CEO if you want to keep scaling in your business, seeing everything as an opportunity to get stronger and to build systems around it to prevent that from happening. And I want to give you an example from a business that I helped for several years, Crystal Dreams. And at one point, we had over 40 employees. Like, it was massive. And we're organizing trade shows in Montreal, Quebec, Ottawa, Toronto twice a year. So 8 trade shows, hiring brand ambassadors every time. Like, it was massive. And so we had an employee manual with processes, training information, checklists, everything basically on how to be an employee at Crystal Dreams for customer service and whatnot. And every time we had a situation, a challenge, something happening with an employee or in the business in general, we would go and update that manual and fix what did we miss in that manual that could have prevented that. And the manual started as a one pager that was a checklist for opening the store, how to greet clients during the day, what to do when there's no clients, and to close the store and the cash. And now it's a manual of like 100 and something pages. And of course, it's divided in ways that it's digestible and that it makes sense for the people in the business and their position in the hierarchy. But everything is documented. There is a system, there is a process for every single thing. So that's what you want to develop as a skill in order to get to the next level in your business. So, what is the truth about scaling that no one tells you? The truth is that you won't scale past 6 to 7 figures by doing more of what got you here. You have to let go of control and start making CEO level moves. This isn't about working harder, it's about becoming the version of you who can run a bigger business. This is the truth that no one tells you, and you have to prepare yourself, and not only mentally, not only technically, for that. So a lot of people will give you, more advice on strategy and on planning and on skills and expertise and how to do this and how to do that. But there's a huge part that you're going to have to work on you as an individual, as a person, as someone who has a nervous system to regulate. And as you scale, as you grow your business, you as a spiritual being, as a physical being, have a capacity and a limit in your nervous system and in your energetic vessel that is able to withstand that growth, and in your mindset as well. So what got you to where you are in your business is not going to get you where you're going. And therefore, you're going to have to work a lot on your mindset to understand that if all of a sudden your schedule gets freed up because you're delegating to your team, and then there's less clutter in your schedule, that it doesn't mean that you're not as busy and that what you're doing is not going to help you scale further. It means that you need to reevaluate how you're going to use your time to make sure that you're being in your 10x moves, in your zone of genius, doing the things that are going to bring you to that next level, and making even more time for you as a human being and as the human person, as the queen behind the CEO, behind the businesswoman, behind the businessman, that will help you on a spiritual, energetic, physical level. All these practices, your morning affirmations, meditations, going for your CEO walk for your lunch break, making sure you're getting movement with your body on a daily basis, eating meals that are sustaining your levels of energy and of focus throughout the day. Those are all things that you have to think of in your next scaling stages, steps to get to that growth that you're looking for. And so your next level isn't about adding more tasks to your plate. It's about learning how to step back and let your business grow beyond you. Now, after listening to all of this, I want to know, are you ready to step into your CEO power? And if you are, DM me on Instagram at Consciousness Guidance. I'd love to have a deeper chat with you. I'm the one who answers my own messages on Instagram, and I love connecting with people. As you can hear on this podcast, I'm definitely very passionate about what I do. And I think it was in the book from Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, that he was saying, you're going to know that you're in your purpose and in the right business, in the right practice for you when you're going to do something that you love so much that you could do for free. And this is me in this program in Systems Queen and what I do for a living. This is truly my passion. So if you want to come and have a chat with me on Consciousness Guidance on Instagram, I'd love to have a chat with you. And I want to let you know that if you subscribe to my podcast, you'll get notified for the next episodes. And the next episode, you won't want to miss it. It is Stop Fixing Yourself and Start Fixing Your Systems. You don't need more mindset shifts, you need better systems. So, the next episode, we're talking about how to design a business that works for you and not against you, a business that works for you and without you, that allows you to be living the life that you always dreamt of and the life that you had in mind when you started this whole journey of entrepreneurship. And you are deserving of it. See you so soon on episode number 4.